Hello and welcome to another episode of Do Not Fade This podcast. My name is Joshua Reimer, joined by none other than the man, the myth, the legend, Jared Block. Jared, how are you doing on this fine Thursday afternoon?
Trying to stay warm. It's the precursor of the winter storm. So if you don't hear from us, that's probably why. So
Snowmageddon.
we appreciate everybody trying to tune in during all this. Hope you stay safe this weekend, 'cause this is our last show of the week. So with that said, it's a chaotic 8-game NBA slate. We have trade rumors starting to wind up and down, and we also have 40 injuries on the slate. I thought I overstated when I said 50. It's definitely a lot. So we'll be spending a lot of time trying to dissect, and hopefully we get some breaking news during the show, as that would help try to clear out the chaos. But yeah, this one's, I don't know. Does today count as a rivalry day?
So I don't know anymore. If I'm gonna be completely honest, because you would think, like, according to the NBA's like advertising, it doesn't. But there's also Clippers, Lakers,
Yeah, exactly.
and some other ones too. Like I kind of feel like Philly, Houston's one of them. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but I've always felt like Philly and Houston are kind of rivals, and Golden State, Dallas is another one that I feel like kind of rivals, kind of not rivals. I don't know where you necessarily place that, but yeah, it feels like there are a few. But I think according to NBA's advertising, none of the like listed games are today.
Yeah, so that's my. I wanted to lead with that because we do have some headlines here, like you said, Clippers, Lakers. We also have the 20-year anniversary of the Kobe 81-point game, which is obviously, I think, the schedule builders did their job on that one. And yeah, a couple other things too, like Clay versus Steph. I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, we do have some nice spots and some things to maneuver around. So let's just start getting after it here, because I do think that we'll spend a lot of time talking about these injuries. I'm probably going to end up missing a lot of this, so help me out here. The biggest thing that I'm looking at right now is that we do have Kawhi Leonard listed questionable for the Lakers Clippers game. You'd imagine, like you said before on the show, whenever Kawhi is questionable, he's just going to be questionable, and he'll probably end up playing. So we'll see how that goes. I think the Clippers are 1 point favorites still as of this moment, so that would certainly affect things. We have LaMelo Ball as questionable here on the second night of a back-to-back. He hasn't been starting recently anyway, so we shouldn't be shocked if he doesn't play. Paul George is questionable. Julius Randle is questionable. That one came after shoot-around, which is not good. Keontae George is questionable. That one is a big one because he is on the opposite side of the Spurs spot, and I'd really love it if that game stayed close. So we got to keep an eye on Keontae George. And then we have a boatload of injuries for Portland, so we'll get there if we get there. I think we'll talk about Miami as a top five implied team total. Maybe we'll cover that then. Need a lot of that news to shake out for Portland to really make sense of anything. Daniel Gafford's a big miss for Dallas tonight. That should help with the Golden State center spot. Yeah, from there, have I missed anything considerable?
Randall questionable. I don't know if you said
Yeah.
that. Paul
Hmm.
George questionable. Um, uh, Joe Val might be back today, which would be big for Denver.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's about it that I see. Obviously, there's a long list of questionables for Portland. There's a lot of guys out today, but those some of these outs are more so just like the consistent outs that we've been seeing as of recent. Like Laurie's out, but Laurie's been out for a few games. Who else is on this list? Like Tyler Hero's out, but we know Tyler Hero's out for a while now. Kalel Ware's out. We know that he was out last game. That's still a big injury that we need to get used to. Franz is out. That got announced like, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes ago, somewhere around there. Um, yeah, I think that's about it. Everything else is just injury news that we've already had for a while.
Yeah, the Franz thing is, I think, hopefully, just purely, yeah, it's the same ankle. So that's just kind of like he's going to get the day off kind of thing. I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of Orlando, but we'll get there when we get there. Yeah, let's start talking about this stuff.
Let's start breaking it down, getting into some top implied team totals. And at the top of the list today, it belongs to the San Antonio Spurs. They have a 124.25 implied team total here. They are 13.5 point favorites. Over under is set at 237 in this one. Yeah, we just saw this game play out. They're playing against each other again here. And in that game, we were kind of like, I don't know if Utah's going to be able to keep this close enough. And Utah not only kept it close enough, but kept things really close. And we saw Keontae George put together another great performance. So how are you judging this game for the San Antonio side?
Yeah, we talked about Utah yesterday in an effort to try to explain that they've been a really good team at home as an underdog, and they've just been really good against the spread at home in general. Again, I really, really hope that Keontae George does play, as that'll help the confidence of this argument, because I do think that San Antonio should absolutely smash here. I think there's a lot of worlds where they can score 130 plus points in this one. And on top of that, we do have a questionable tag for Jeremy Sohan, as well as getting early in on things. Luke Cornett already ruled out for this game, so that does help a little bit of everything. I think I hate to say it this way, but any injury to the Spurs helps the situation for fantasy purposes. So I'll give the home ATS stuff here. Utah is currently 15-7, and that ranks second in the NBA against the spread as the home team. They are 13-7 as the home underdog, which is still a top 10 number in terms of record in that statistic. The Spurs are 3-6-1 on the year against the spread as a road favorite. So there's growing optimism. This game was in San Antonio a couple days ago, right?
Correct, it was.
Yeah. So again, this helps. Could you also make red flags about it? It's the second night of a back-to-back for Utah after they beat the Wolves, for what it's worth, and Keontae George is questionable. So you don't like it from that angle. What I do think we can look at first is that it's very clearly that we can say that Wemby is the top overall fantasy play of the day. It's not really hard to come to that conclusion. He's scored 42 plus PRA and 55 plus fantasy points in both games against the Jazz this year, including that number a couple of days ago. He did it in like 20 minutes. 73% of centers have hit their fantasy marks against the Jazz since January 6th. Both Castle and Fox dished out 8 assists in the game a couple of games ago. But yeah, I think this one just screams Wemby.
Yeah, definitely. He had a really big game. Hit 7 threes in that game against Utah as well. Showed off his three-pointer finesse, something that a lot of players are able to do against Utah. We kind of always talked about how San Antonio doesn't have that guy from three-point range. Wemby just became that guy because he has the ability to. And he really dominated in that game. I would expect more of the same. If Keontae George doesn't play, I have zero faith that this game stays close, especially if they end up missing Bryce Sensabaugh as well, who's been a really key scorer off the bench for them recently. Yeah. I would really be curious to see what usage rates start looking like without Keontae. Like, I would think that, like, just with this lineup, Ace Bailey would have to come to the forefront of things, and I'd be curious to watch it. I don't know if it would work out well, but I think it'd be a lot of fun to watch because I think Ace Bailey is a relatively talented rookie. So, yeah, lots to digest here. Kind of got to wait on Utah news, but as long as this game can stay close enough, it's, like you said, hard to argue that Wemby isn't one of, if not the best fantasy players of the day.
You'd think that the Spurs would be bigger favorites if George was leaning out, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's probably like a true 50-50 call.
16 at home last couple days ago.
Yeah. Yeah, 100. They were, I'm pretty sure it was 15.5 if I remember correctly. Yeah, if he was leaning out, I think you're right that they would be much bigger favorites right now. But maybe, I don't know, maybe it's the home factor playing into things. I mean, this is a traveling, not back-to-back, but they've only had 1 day of rest coming from Houston. It's not like that's the easiest travel in the world. I don't know. We'll see. Definitely some interesting stuff evolving around that game. Let's move on to the next highest implied total, which belongs to the Minnesota Timberwolves as they take on the Chicago Bulls here. They're at 124 with their implied total. They're 8.5-point favorites. Over-under is set at 237.5. Big news that we're waiting for here is if Julius Randle is going to play or not. We have really liked power forwards against Chicago, so him playing would definitely be welcome. I could also just see Ant just having a day just because he typically does well against these lower level defenses, though I know the Bulls have been doing better on their above the break 3 defense. So give me your breakdown of this one for Minnesota.
Yeah, Ant has scored 93 points over his last 2 games, Josh. So he'll be on the hottest shooters list, obviously.
Really?
I think that this one is somewhat difficult to break down because, like you said, Chicago has done better against the scoring guard position recently. They're also just not allowing a ton of above the break threes, though I will mention you still have Ant taking and making the most restricted area field goals, so that is something that's positive. You got a few situations like this today, where yesterday there was a lot of really good 3-point spots, and some of them came through, some of them didn't. Today is not a good 3-point scoring day, and you got to fight through a couple of scenarios, like Luka, for example, like Harden, for example, and like this Edwards spot where 3-point spot's not going to look good, but they can still find other ways to score. So Ant's definitely in that kind of situation, and I'd be curious to hear if you can pull it up, the per 36, because we've done this with Edwards with Ant out. I want to see what it looks like with Ant when Randall is out. So I want to see that. From there, that would also make Naz Reid a nice play. He's in a really good corner 3 scoring spot. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it's not, like I said in the rundown, if you've gotten to read it yet, for anybody who's listening, it's not a day to ladder Edwards for 3-pointers, but he could certainly still find his way to 25 plus, 30 plus points. That's where I kind of get the biggest takeaway here, as this is still a nice pace game.
For sure. Honestly, overall, Edwards seems kind of the same with or without Randall. Gains a few points on there. He averages 1.9 more points per 36 minutes when Randall's off the floor, but his rebounds go down slightly, only by 1.1, but they still go down. His assists slightly go down. His fantasy score stays relatively the same. I'm trying to see who it benefits. It benefits a lot of just like bench players, which is not ideal. Like, I don't think a lot of these guys even play consistent minutes. Bones Highland is a guy that gets some benefit. He averages more points. He averages a good chunk more rebounds. Rudy Gobert doesn't see any benefit, which I would find kind of shocking, but that tends to be the case when Randall's off the floor this year. And yeah, that's about it. There's not a whole lot to dive in from just this little bit of info. Yeah, all I can say is that like Edwards is kind of flat out medium. And I will say, from the shooting guard perspective of like the DVP stuff, I know they have gotten better against shooting guards recently. I will also say that like the competition isn't really there at the end of the day. Like, I was just looking through this list of the shooting guards they've played over the last 10 games. The most prolific one is Harden. They kept him under at 29 and a half. His line was 29 and a half. He only had 24. But then there's a bunch of guys, like, they did well against Cam Thomas, but I don't really expect that much from Cam Thomas. He's a streaky scorer. There's not a whole lot of guys with lines over under around that 20, and there's not a whole lot of guys that have the level of play that Anthony Edwards has. So Edwards did poorly against the Chicago team back in December. I don't know. Take that for what it's worth. If he's without Randall, I imagine usage goes up, and I find it hard to believe that doesn't mean something for him here.
Yeah, the per 36 for Edwards is a tough conversation because, like, how much better could he actually get? Like, he's
True.
already an elite player and has elite stats pretty much everywhere. So, yeah, I think I'll stick to my original take, which is that I think this is a poor 3-point spot and a good overall scoring spot for him if he does not have Randall on the floor. We'll also just say that the Bulls have just not looked good against wings. So if Randall did play, I think he'd be just fine too. Jaden McDaniels would be a guy we would look at, regardless of the situation. So you got something to look at here for you guys.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's move right along and talk about this next highest implied team total, which belongs to the Warriors, who are at 120.25 here for their implied team totals. They're 5.5-point favorites. Over/under is at 234.5. Yeah, feel free to talk about the Warriors. What do we got here, Jared?
Confusing spot. So I'm not super thrilled to talk about them in a top 5 implied total kind of light. Steph has fallen under PRA 37 number in 4 of the past 5 games. He's really fallen short from an overall scoring perspective in some of these. I do think that at least it's a pace-up game against the Dallas team that just doesn't have a lot of solid defensive player options right now. And we shouldn't expect Daniel Gafford to play, so you're going to get Musa Cisse and Dwight Powell defense. So with that said, we're still trying to figure out what Golden State looks like without Jimmy Butler. We've seen both Gary Payton and Buddy Hield come to the forefront a little bit in some of these last few games. Things got so bad that Jonathan Kuminga had to come in, which I thought he wasn't like playing another minute for the Warriors, and he scored 20 points in that game. Really tough look all the way around for Golden State. I will say, if there's anything that I can say in a positive light, it's that I do think that Quentin Post smashes in this game, as long as he gets the correct amount of minutes, and I do think that that's correct here. As you know, if we're saying it, that means Golden State already sees it, and they should benefit from that. We've talked about this before. You play centers against the Dallas Mavericks right now. 71% of centers have hit their PRA marks in against the Mavs since January 13th. So it's a good amount of sample still. It's a couple of games, I know, but we've seen this spot continuously thrive for them. So I think if you're going to go anywhere, it's post. I'm not super thrilled about Curry's spot.
Yeah, I am. First of all, post. Like, I understand it's centers. It's always going to be centers against this team. I really worry about Post's minutes right now. Like, they just don't look pretty at all. He hasn't had more than 20 minutes, except for one time over the past 10 games, which is pretty insane because he seems pretty productive when he's out there. It's just they don't let him stay out there for long periods of time. So, yeah, I'm really curious to see how this team continues to play as the Warriors, because I just feel like without Jimmy, they lose a lot of that defensive oomph. And we saw that when they played the Raptors. The Raptors were lights out altogether. We saw Quickly have a great game. We saw a lot of guys have a great game against them. This starting lineup lacks defense, and where you used to get it from Jimmy, and before Jimmy, you used to get it from Draymond. Draymond's too old now, and Jimmy's not there, so Steph's a bad defender. Podzimski's a bad defender. Moses Moody is technically like a okay defender at best. Like, Kuminga's a terrible defender. Like, you go through the list and it's like bad defender, bad defender. Like, Dallas can very easily put up 220 points, and at the end of the night, I wouldn't be all that shocked, or more than that, or not 220 points, excuse me, 120 points. Yeah, I don't know. This isn't really a Golden State take at all, because we are technically talking about the Warriors here. I'm way more interested in Dallas once we end up talking about them at some point. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents.
My 2 cents is that I love Cooper Flag tonight. That's my 2 cents.
Every time I've loved Cooper Flag, he screws me. So I'll leave that one to you.
Yeah.
All right. You want to go over one or two more teams, or do you want to move on to hottest shooters?
Keep going. I think we can, it's a fun slate, so I think we should keep going here as long as we don't have to talk about too many injuries.
Sure. Well, get ready to talk about injuries. We got the Trailblazers up next. They're at 119.25 for their implied team total. They're 1.5 point favorites over the Miami Heat. Over-unders at 236.5. Let's go over this injury list, and I'll take it since obviously you don't have to. We got Sidney Cisco, who's questionable. Jeremy Grant, who's questionable. Drew Holiday's questionable. Robert Williams is questionable. And then the usual outs, and Scoot Henderson, Chris Murray, Matisse Thybulle, and Blake Wesley. So 8 guys on the injury report. Starting lineup, well, I mean, I guess Drew will probably start if he ends up playing, but Williams won't start. Grant might not end up starting.
His role is all over the place usually. I lost Josh for a moment, so we're going to continue to go. His camera froze up on me, and I can't hear him anymore, so we're going to keep rolling. The Portland Trailblazers stuff is a mess, and unfortunately, you kind of just got to wait for some injury news. Though I will say, whoever runs point is going to be in a good peripheral spot. So I do think that that's something we should probably rely on when it comes to Deni Avdija. So that's where I'll start with this. We do know that the Heat are allowing the 3rd most points to point guards and the 4th most points to shooting guards. That's going to profile well for Drew if he plays, for Sharp, and maybe notably I do think this is a really nice spot for Caleb Love, though I do think that things have to kind of shake out in the injury situation for him to really benefit. The main reason that I liked Caleb Love is frankly just because I really like this above the break three spot. We have seen Miami kind of. It's not that they've gotten better in defending driving guards. They've just been really bad in giving up 3-point attempts recently. And so I do think that that benefits Caleb Love, who turns out to be, and again, the Blazers just don't have a lot of above the break three scorers. Caleb Love is the best at making 2.9 per game from that above the break zone over the last 30 days. He's also taking the most at 7. So if you're going to look for any consistency from 3-point range, Caleb Love is the guy on this side. Danny Avdija is the driving scoring guard that could also benefit in this game. But you kind of hesitate to really fall in love with a lot of players here just because the injury report is as packed as it is. So if we get Drew sitting or if we get Jeremy Grant sitting, then I do think that I'd be more interested in Caleb Love. And that's kind of how the situation goes. So with that said, I'm going to just see if Josh can rejoin here. Oh, his computer shut down, so he should be back momentarily. So I do want, while we're still live, I do really want to talk about the Lakers-Clippers game, but Josh being a Lakers fan, I will wait for him to talk about that. So why don't we go? Let's see if I can break down one more spot with you guys as I do it solo here. Why don't we talk about Why don't we talk about the Denver Nuggets situation here? Because there's a few things that we can cover solo here. We do have Jamal Murray, Gordon, and Hardaway probable. Joe Val is questionable. We brought that up when we were talking about injuries. We have Christian Brown, Cam Johnson, and Nikola Jokic still out. Jamal Murray scored 28 points in 4 of his last 5 games. We've seen Pickett kind of come in and play the shooting guard role well. He's had 9 plus RA in 6 of his last 7 games. So you like it from that trends angle here. This is a huge pace up game for Denver. They're already running at one of the slowest paces in the league, and anytime you face Washington, you're going to get a pace up spot, most likely. It's also a good defensive matchup in general. We do know, though, that the Wizards have kind of been a better above the break defense recently, whether that's opponent or just a concerned effort. So they're not allowing as many above the break threes, which kind of limits what you could do or expect from Tim Hardaway and Jamal Murray from that zone. With that said, Murray is still a very good restricted area scorer, even with Joker not on the floor. So if you're going to look at something, I do think Jamal Murray's points are okay there, though I'm not on this Tim Hardaway Jr. 3-point spot. Again, it's a situation where the above the break stuff doesn't line up for a really good above the break scorers. So that's kind of what I wanted to just touch on there for Denver. Josh, I covered Portland already, so we're already good to go there. But I did want to bring back, and it's not going to make anything on the implied total stuff, but just because this game is what it is, and there's a lot of superstar power here, I do think that we should cover Lakers Clippers.
Sure. Where do you want to cover it from? I mean, like you said, it's not going to make the implied total list, but go ahead and take it away.
We can talk about the Lakers side mainly. I think that when you're looking at things that have happened recently for them, Luka has had 4 plus threes in 4 of the past 6 games, and when you look at what the Clippers have done recently, it just seems like they are. And again, this is a slow paced conversation where this is coming from. They aren't allowing a lot of above the break threes, the 7th fewest over the last 30 days. Again, it's one of those situations where like Luka doesn't necessarily profile that well from 3-point range. He's still going to probably take 9-10 threes and probably make 3 or 4 of them. So that could offset the defensive situation there. But we do know that 71% of point guards since January 13th. I know it's a 1-week sample size, but 71% of point guards have gone over their PRA markets against the Clippers. We've seen some good games from the Washington guards, and if Washington guards can do it, I think that Luka Doncic can match that. So I do think that there's optimism for Luka tonight still in that regard. LeBron's just been really, really, really good against the Clippers historically. He's had 38 or 36 plus PRA in 8 of the past 9 matchups against this team, and in the one that he did not get there, it was like a March game last year or the year before, and so we shouldn't really look at that in that light. So he's 2 for 2 in that mark this year, and I think it's. I said the last thing I said in the Lakers Clippers breakdown was that it's probably not a good idea to take Clippers money line today. Not financial advice. So, I don't know. I think that while this falls short from a lot of angles in terms of pace of play and in terms of like what is really good on paper, you still got Luka and LeBron going up against the Clippers.
Yeah, and I think this matchup always ends up being pretty interesting from all angles. And on the LeBron front, I'll just say that like last time he was facing off against the Clippers, we were kind of hesitant and we were like LeBron's just getting back from that injury. We don't know what he's going to look like. We know he's done really well against the Clippers in the past, but this is like a completely different LeBron James. And then he went off for 36 in that game against the Clippers back in December.
Yep.
So hard to judge the spot overall. Feels like definitely some upside. And like you said, Luka always has some upside. He's always I know the historics won't necessarily show it, but like my memories will always be of Luka dominating this poor Clippers team in the playoffs, and if like that feels like one of his premier like welcome to the league moments. So I'm sure he has a lot of good memories of facing off against this Clippers team too.
I agree. All right, we can move on to hottest shooters now.
All right, let's move over to hottest shooters. Take it away. Where do you want to go with hottest shooters, Jared?
Yeah, like I said, Edwards has hit like 90 points in the last 2 games that he's played in, 4+ threes in 6 of his past 7 games. Said bad stuff about the 3-point spot, but at the end of the day, he could go out and score 35 in pretty much anybody. So he's definitely making the hottest shooter list today. Yeah, I'll keep going unless you have a couple you want to mention.
I don't really have. I mean, I could mention a few that I'm just seeing as I'm clicking through props.cash, but feel free. I'll mention a few if you don't mention them.
Yeah, so again, we have another situation where Jalen Suggs is out, and there's not many opportunities to talk about Orlando because I think it's a rather middling situation. But Anthony Black has recorded 27 plus PRA in 4 straight. You add in the Suggs stuff, you add in the Franz stuff, and that thing looks pretty good on paper from that angle. Also, in that same game, we talked about LaMelo in a bright light last night, but I think today, turning the page, you got to take a harder look at Brandon Miller, who scored 23 plus points in 4 straight games, and he finds himself in a decent matchup if LaMelo's not playing. That team's looked really weird, so just be careful of the Orlando-Charlotte stuff.
For sure. Jamal Murray has had 28 plus points in 4 out of the last 5 games. He had 3 amazing games against the Pelicans, against Dallas, and against Washington, the team he's playing tonight. And then was about to have an amazing game against the Lakers where he had 26 in the first half, and then things just fell short in the second half. I don't think that's indicative of everything, though. I think that this is another good spot for him. We just saw him torch this Wizards team. I find it hard belief that they can stop him from doing it again.
Yep, agreed there. Something else to note, too, is like some of these guys, it's been really hard to, now that everybody's back and playing and healthy and being more consistent, you get the occasional Embiid sitting or Paul George sitting, but for the most part, it's been really hard to figure it out because they have all been kind of excelling in their own way and kind of just, I think the markets are just pricing that in now. So Maxey has recorded 43 plus fantasy points in 8 of the past 10. Embiid has scored 26 points in 7 of the past 10. Paul George, 23 plus PRA in 8 of the last 10. We're now seeing Kelly Oubre come into the fold too. He's at 2 plus threes in 4 straight. It becomes a little bit annoying to see a healthy team on paper like that.
Yeah, last thing I'll mention, Kawhi Leonard dominating from 3-point range. 5 straight games of 3 plus threes. Yep. Last game he played in against Washington, he had 7 of them, which is a season high for him. Pretty spectacular stuff. I don't really think of Kawhi as a 3 type guy when it all comes down to it, but he has been showing off that range in his game so far this year. All right, anything else here? If not, let's go to round table.
Yeah, I noticed that earlier. Significantly better than Harden recently from 3-point range, which is not something you see normally. Second in the NBA from above the break is Kawhi, only behind Michael Porter over the last 30 days.
Second? Wow,
second.
that's
Yeah.
crazy. Good to
It's
know.
all coming from this past four
Yeah,
stretch.
I mean, yeah, this past 5 game stretch has been truly insane. Past four, I mean, just the last game when he hit 7. I don't think. I'd be curious if that's a career high for him. I can't imagine. Maybe he hit somewhere up there when he was with Toronto, but he's never been a 3-ball type guy, at least what I can remember. Okay, let's head over to round table, Jared. For those who don't know how it works, Jared and I go back and forth, each of us selecting some of our top plays from different statistical categories. Those statistical categories are points, rebounds, and assists. I said you and me. Do you want me included here? I can certainly try to find plays while you're
Oh, go
talking.
ahead.
Yeah, all
Go
right.
ahead.
I'll try to find some stuff that's kind of a little. For those who don't know, I don't research on Thursday's my off day from content, so I'm here to host the podcast with Jared, so he's not talking by himself because I know how annoying that can be. I've done those solo podcasts in the past, and so has Jared. But yeah, Jared, I'll let you take the floor first while I try to find something.
Yeah, I think where I'll start right away here is in a spot where I'm just not sure we're really going to talk in a very good light for anybody because we got the news that Josh Giddey is officially questionable, though, he'll be on this minutes limit and it's going to throw a wrench into everything that we look at for the Bulls. But in terms of one man on this team, he's in a really, really, really good all around spot. Rebounds, assists, and mainly points is what this take is. Vooch is just going to profile really well from a DVP angle, and we've seen centers hang in there, and he's had Rudy Gobert's number. Over the past 5 times he has played the Minnesota Timberwolves, he's scored 19 plus in 4 of them. So not only that, we've seen 67% of centers go over their points line. Nurk just went and got 16 a couple of games ago. We saw Wemby go bananas against Gobert. Last week he had 39 points in that game. Şengün 25. So I'm looking more at the Nurkic. I'm not going to put Vooch in the same category as Wemby, but Vooch is 75% of what Şengün can do. I would say that's pretty fair. This is a really good scoring spot for any center going up against Minnesota right now.
Yeah, I'm shaking my head, I was smiling as you gave the take because I was looking for someone, and that's the first person I locked onto was that Vooch play. So
Nice.
at least we're in the same mindset there, Jared. I will go somewhere else, and I will mention this. Hold on, let me double check something before. Okay, good. I will mention this Orlando spot. And just talk about how bad Charlotte has been against the point guard position. Right, they're learning the 4th most
Yep.
over the last 7 games. We have seen some consistent scoring from Anthony Black recently, and he's had 19 plus points, in 4 straight games. Feel like it does help that Franz is going to be out now too. Without Franz this season, he's gone over 19 points in 63% of the games that he's played without Franz. That's 16 games in total, and he's hit 19 plus points in 10 of them. I like the Anthony Black spot, so let's go there for points. All right, Jared, rebounds. What do you got?
I want to throw in one more guy because I don't think we're going to touch on this. And maybe we will. Maybe I'll get it in there for the Two Minds play. But this is not going to be like a top 10 play. It's just something that I found and I was astonished. So maybe it is. Maybe it is closer to a top 10 play. Who knows? I want to get your thoughts on it because we're talking about Jordan Miller, small forward for the Clippers. Regardless if Kawhi plays or not, small forwards have just destroyed the Lakers. And we know this. We talked about this since January 5th. 83% of small forwards have gone over their points markets against the Lakers. And the only guy to miss was Brandon Ingram, who fell 2 buckets short. DeMar DeRozan smashed them. Khan did well. Corey Kispert, of all people, smashed. Spencer Jones, not really a scorer, but he got there against the Lakers in the last game. So, you've seen Jordan Miller now 6 straight games of 22 plus minutes, and the scoring is coming along with it. He's had 11 plus in 5 straight.
Yeah, can certainly get behind it. This is a pretty easy stretch of. Charlotte, Washington, Toronto, Washington, Chicago is the stretch that he's had these really good games in. But you can make the case that the Lakers are right there with all those teams with how bad the defense has been. So, I can certainly get behind the Jordan Miller take there. All right, centers, what do you got?
I think what I'll do here, man, you made a really good point earlier because this is a fantastic rebounding spot for anybody on Golden State who plays the five. It's just like who's the five that's going to play 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Because Horford, Draymond, and Post could all share time there, and they still have Trace Jackson Davis. So I won't say that. What I will say is that this is let's see, because that was going to be my go-to, and then that didn't. That just doesn't really. It's not good financial advice whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll go with Luka again. We talked about this a couple of games ago against
Nice.
Denver, where you could make the case that Washington guards are in a good spot for rebounding as well. I think that the environment around that game is going to be awesome, and Luka bounced back in a big way in a good matchup, and we should be locking that back in here. LeBron's also in a good rebounding spot.
Yeah, I can certainly get behind that. I'm going to go with Donovan Clingan here. 76% of centers have cleared their rebounding line against this Miami Heat team over the last 10 games. They've also cleared it pretty convincingly, too. Their average over the line is 1.26 rebounds, Jared, which is pretty insane. Klingan's line is high as hell. I will not lie about this. I mean, it's at 12.5. He's only hit this in 28% of games this season. I will say this play gets significantly better if Robert Williams is out. It just means more time for him on the floor overall, more chances for him to get the job done. But regardless, I like the spot. We've seen centers just do really well against this Heat team. Klingan's definitely a rebounding center, a big-time rebounding center, so I think he can get the job done, especially if he has more minutes on the floor without Robert Williams.
Yeah, who did the Heat play a couple of games ago? They played the Kings.
The Kings?
Okay, looking at that, you probably have in front of you here. Cardwell had 12. Sabonis had 10 in 17 minutes.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, it's good. It's a good spot.
Yeah, Renaud had 8, and his line was 5.5 as well. So just one more to add to the list there. All right, assists. What do you got?
All right, going to assists here. I do think this is somewhat intriguing on many angles. You got a lot of 29s, 30s in terms of ranking. What I will do, let's see. Some of these are really tough to kind of maneuver through too. So what I'll do is I will at least buy in and make the case for Zion James, which I know is gross. But LaMelo, I can't imagine him playing the second leg of a back-to-back where he didn't start in that game. So
Truly, also one of the most awful performances I have ever seen from a star player.
Yeah.
I
think he had he had one of the lowest field goal percentages in recorded NBA history.
I know he went like 0 for 10 from 3-point range, and then it was like 1 for like 13 or 14 from the field. Like, truly, you need an off day after that type of performance. Like that was a really, really bad game.
Yeah, I'll say I would say Sexton here, but like the dude just only scores. He doesn't do anything else on the floor. Trey Mann's also out. KJ Simpson also out. So we should see, and we have seen, Zion James step into the starting lineup. It can get scary. I'll make the case that nothing's great on the Charlotte side, but it's a decent spot. And maybe it is Sexton at the end of the day.
Yeah, maybe it is Sexton. Okay, I don't really have a great play here. I was kind of scrolling through stuff and couldn't really find what I want. I guess I will kind of go to a default answer and just say, like, I like this LeBron spot. I like the consistency he's showing from an assist angle recently. I know we talked about him from a scoring angle, but he's had 7+ assists in 4 out of the last 5 games. He's also had 7+ assists in 7 out of the last 9 games too. And he's done well with his assist against this Clippers team too. Maybe not in recent games, but in the past he was able to score and pass the ball a bunch against this Clippers team. So feels like a little bit of a cop-out answer just to go with LeBron, especially because we've already mentioned him from a scoring angle. But like, I think the LeBron assist spot is not a bad one.
No, it's not. I think the rebound assist market there is really good. I did look at that earlier. I'll have to go see that. 1 second. I listed it in my trends post today. Yeah, 15 rebounds and assists in 8 of the past 10.
Yeah, there you go. Definitely not a bad spot. All right. Anything else here, Jared, for Roundtable? If not, we will move right along.
I'd be really intrigued to see. When you stepped away, I was trying to explain to everybody what Portland injuries would do. I think that whoever's playing point guard for them is going to smash in this game. It's just tough for me to really say if it's Drew Holiday or if it's Denny.
Yeah, several times I was thinking about mentioning a Denny play, but I would feel like it's bad advice because if Drew starts, then technically he's point guard, and then that kind of shifts how Denny ends up playing. So, kind of a hard spot to break down because I also considered the Denny play or mentioning the Denny play, but it just doesn't feel right with Drew being up in the air. It doesn't feel right recommending.
Yep, agreed.
All right, let's head over to Two Minds Are Better Than One if you're ready to, Jared.
Yep, let's do it.
For those who don't know how it works, Jared and I go back and forth, each of us selecting 2-player props each. We put those together into a parlay, with our goal of the parlay being for the odds of the total parlay to be around plus 100 to plus 150. We play it over on DraftKings Sportsbook, but you can play it on Prize Picks, Underdog, or wherever else you want to. Jared, I'll let you kick it. Oh, well, results from last night. We ended up coming up short, mostly because I really don't believe in saying poor things about players after they don't end up cashing for you. But I will say again, what a terrible performance LaMelo Ball had. I don't know if we lost anywhere else on the parlay. I just knew as soon as LaMelo fell short. No, we didn't. We cashed everything else. Just LaMelo ended up not being LaMelo. So, sucky situation there. Regardless, we move on to today. Jared, I'll let you go first. Where do you want to go?
I searched LaMelo Ball on X, and the first thing that I saw was LaMelo Ball going to be the reason I stopped betting entirely.
Yeah, I I checked it after the first quarter and saw he was 0 for 7, and I was like, okay, not the end. Like, unlike some people, I was like, not the end of the world. There's definitely ways he can turn this around. If he gets hot, we'll be perfectly fine. He can get hot against this Cleveland team, and it just never happened. And I wonder if maybe I didn't watch the game at all. That's one of the games I didn't watch last night. But I wonder if it's maybe Lonzo was potentially guarding him because they both came off the bench, and I wonder if that had anything to do with it because maybe Lonzo guards him well. I don't know. Regardless, really bad game for him. Really poor showing. Anyway, let's talk about today's games. And yeah, I'll let you go first. Where do you want to go?
Yeah, it just feels like you lean into destiny here. So we're rolling with LeBron.
Oh, man, you took one of my easy picks.
Yeah, it's a very easy layup pick. I know. He has hit 31 plus PR. We already talked about it. 37 PRA in 8 of the last 9 games against the Clippers. And the worst game was the 31 in March. And so I think you just buy into all of this, and I don't know. We can play it at 30. We can play it at 35. I don't really care.
Let's play it at 30. That makes it nice and easy. We'll play that at 30. We'll stick in the same game. We talked about liking this game so much. I know I'm going to definitely be watching it later tonight. Let's go to the other side, though. Let's take a Clipper here, and I'm going to go with Kawhi Leonard for 2+3s. Hope he plays. I like we said. I think Kawhi's just going to get the LeBron treatment, where he's always going to be questionable if he has a chance to play, and most likely, 80% to 90% of the time, he ends up getting ruled in at the end of the day. So we'll go Kawhi Leonard for 2+3s.
All right, we're going to go with Wemby points. He just had 14 against Houston. I understand that. This is again, we talked about locks against Utah. I mean, I don't want to say the word lock. We rarely ever do. Ant Edwards was the closest thing earlier this week, and Wemby's the second closest thing this week. So I think it's a Wemby kind of night.
Yeah.
I don't know, 25 points.
Points. I had 20. I think
Okay.
20 gets us to -104 for the entirety of the parlay, and we still have another pick to add on. So let's go with 20 plus here. And then I am going to take something super easy, and let's see. Without Franz Wagner. Yeah. Let's go with what does that put us at? No. Yes. Okay. Let's go with 12 plus points for Anthony Black here. I really like the Anthony Black spot. I think Charlotte's problems with the point guard position are direly serious right now, and they get no better if you put Zion James in there, because Zion James is a really bad defender. Or not really bad defender. He's a rookie defender. Rookie defenders are notoriously bad at defense unless they're known for their defense. Or you have Colin Sexton on him, which is just as easy of a matchup. So, yeah, really like the Anthony Black spot, especially no Franz Wagner. like the parlay as a whole. Let's recap it really quick for anyone who might have missed it. We have Kawhi Leonard for 2+ 3-pointers made, LeBron James for 30+ PRA, Wemby for 20+ points, and Anthony Back for 12+ points. All together get you at plus 126. All right, Jared, take it away. What do the people need to know as they start to place their bets on tonight's slate?
Well, if you placed a bet already, shame on you. That's the first thing.
Fair enough.
We have tons of questionable tags still. I think we can lean into Kawhi playing. I think we can stay away from LaMelo playing. Paul George is going to be a true, who knows what's going to happen with that. Embiid is probable. Josh Giddey is probable too. I don't think I mentioned that part earlier. He was questionable heading in, and now he's probable, so that throws a wrench into the majority of Chicago stuff. Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see who plays for Portland. That's something where I'd have to wait for an SGP only option, right? Like, you can't play that with things that exist 4 hours earlier. So, yeah, lots of injury stuff. I did not mention that Davion Mitchell's also questionable, so that could be interesting. Who would start at point if Mitchell can't go?
If Mitchell couldn't go, I would think they slide over Norman Powell, right? And put Jaime Jaquez in the starting lineup. I don't think they have another point guard on the roster unless you do point Bam.
Jaka Jonas.
Yeah, he's not a point guard. Kasparis, I know who you're talking about. He's not a point guard.
Larson has started in this spot before.
Yeah, I think Larson's going to start regardless. Like, Larson's already in there. I think you just throw Jaime into the starting lineup, and if Mitchell doesn't go, and you put Powell's played point guard minutes before. Powell's a really solid point guard actually. So I think they just throw Powell at point, and maybe split Bam in like actual like point forward minutes maybe.
Right, because Ware is still out for that game, so that game is just a mess. If you're going to play one of the late night games, it's got to be the LA game. So.
Mm-hmm.
It's a day filled with injury on a weird Thursday where there's a lot of games. And so, yeah, that's kind of the nature of the NBA in late January.
Yeah, welcome to the beast that is late January, where we're just trying to, like I said earlier in the week, everyone's just trying to...
We are just clawing.
Yeah, we're trying to play catch-up right now to try to get to the All-Star break is essentially what the NBA is doing. So, we're almost there. We're, like a month out now? A little bit less. So, yeah, we're almost there. But 8 games today, 8 games tomorrow. Relatively loaded weekend as well. Should be a lot of fun. All right. You got anything else, Jared? If not, oh, well, let's do our usual round table. What do you got to talk about? I don't really have anything else sports-wise to talk about. So
yeah, I got a few things. We'll start with this LaMelo stat because I found it.
Oh, yeah.
I saw it last night, and I meant to look into it. So he went 6.7% from the field, which is 1 for 15 from 2, 0 for 10 from 3.
Yeah.
I got to double check this because I don't know how credible this handle actually is. It's got a decent amount of following. He's the first player in NBA history to finish a game shooting 6.7% from the field.
Nice.
That can't be right?
Maybe. I don't know if any head coach would reasonably let their player shoot the ball 15 times and only make it once.
Also, Lonzo was a DNP. He didn't even play.
There you go.
So
that's not even a good excuse then.
Yeah. I mean, they're putting him in a bad spot anyway because they're making this whole thing up of, like, we need to get him in a spot where he can close games but not play a lot of minutes, so his rotations are already screwed up in general.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's all over the place there. If that's true or not, because I know people have finished 0%, so that's obviously worse than 6%. But
well, I think like the point is like I think
on the volume.
Yeah, maybe on the volume, or didn't they say like it's the first time a player's finished with that percentage, like with 6%.
Maybe.
So maybe it's the first player ever to go 1 for 15, which is believable. I don't think I haven't seen a lot of players go 1 for 15 before.
Yeah, and on top of that, what's even worse is that Brandon Miller still finished with the worse plus minus than LaMelo.
That's hilarious. That is so funny. Yeah, that was like for how excited we were about that game last night. What an all-time
terrible.
bad showing from both teams. It wasn't just Charlotte either. Like Cleveland played really poorly too. Donovan Mitchell somewhat saved them, and the win saved them, I guess, at the end of the day. But like all around just a really bad way to start out the rivalry week that we were all so
Yeah.
like that was the first matchup of the rivalry week and it went so poorly.
I didn't take a screenshot, but I wanted to so bad because, you try to, what we do, we work until the first game start to tip off, and then you start transferring into like, I'm gonna go take a shower after I work out, blah blah blah, real life stuff, and try to shut off the work brain. I look at my phone, and 3 games are 20-point differentials, like a half hour into the slate.
Yeah.
I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So,
Yeah.
Not on top of that, but Michael Porter Jr. was like a highlight feature on the podcast yesterday, and he was my ladder for threes, and they lost by 60 points.
I know.
They scored 66 points in an NBA game in this century.
I know.
That's got to be the worst. That has to
Yeah.
be the worst score of a team.
It has to be.
In this century. So I don't know. We'll look into that. But yeah, last NBA note of the day was just what an awful like PR stint that they tried to pull this week.
Yeah, well, I think it's just like so poorly done because of the games they highlighted. Like, I guess it doesn't make it any better that like they didn't highlight Nets and Knicks, and obviously that game blows out. But like, I don't know, like this Clippers Lakers game, it's on Prime, but like it's not. I don't feel like it's being featured as like a rivalry game as from ESPN. Instead, ESPN is featuring Lakers and Mavericks happening. I think that's Saturday that's happening, but. Yeah, I just think it's like just a really poorly done job. Like,
Well,
I think the
like,
MLB
how
does
do
such a
you-
good job of this, where like they make rivalry weekend really fun and exciting, and you just don't get the same thing.
You know why? It's because players, the schedule makers can expect that players will play.
Yeah,
That's why.
That's a good
And
point.
So, Lakers, Mavs looked really good 3 months ago.
Yeah.
So it's just what it is right now. Like they got serious issues, and players playing is one of them. That's it for NBA. We have already talked too much about NBA.
One
Now we
one
have to
more
move
thing.
on.
One more thing.
Okay.
Since the 24-second shot clock was introduced, the lowest scoring team, fewest points scored by one team in an NBA game was 49, and it was in a Chicago versus Miami game in 1999. There was also a game in 2002 where it was 53 points, Denver at Detroit. Trying to look to see. Yeah, there's even one, Milwaukee at Boston. One of the teams scored 50. I have to imagine it was Milwaukee. No offense to you, but I doubt Boston in 2011
at that
was.
time, yes.
No way Boston was scoring 56 points in 2011. Orlando and Boston also in 2012 at 56. So not the worst, but very, very, very close to being among that list of very bad teams. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I didn't have much hope coming into free agency and not everything, but I do want to say that I think you can argue it's not even like who won the trade, but I think that both the Brewers and the Mets got exactly what they wanted.
Yeah.
And I think that in terms of this year, who won the deal, I don't know. We'll see it play out. The Mets are going to be good, and they have a shot of at least, if one thing goes right or a lot of things go right, they can sort of, line up and make a case for a Dodgers winning situation. But in terms of like 5+ years from now, looks pretty dang good for the Brewers, right?
Yeah,
They
for
have
sure. I think
2 additions to the 100 top prospect chain here.
so. For those who don't know what we're talking about, just in case you're not like a sports maniac like Jared and I are, Freddie Peralta got traded last night. I want to see the exact what the exact trade was, but it was Freddie Peralta and Tobias Harris for Tobias Myers, excuse me, for Jet Williams and Brandon Sprout. Williams and Sprout, both top 90 prospects. I don't think you can get a better deal for a rental pitcher in Freddie P. Not only a rental pitcher, but let's remember that like Peralta has had a lot of health issues too. So like this is an overpay of overpays. And while I think that's like a very good thing for the Mets, I don't think it's a bad thing, or it's a very good thing for the Brewers because you get 2 really good prospects. I don't think it's a bad thing for the Mets either. As like a pure just like baseball guy, like I think the Mets get what they wanted. They have 6 guys in the top 90 prospects right now. So to trade away 2 of them to get an ace to add to the rotation, on top of getting like a very Like, I know Tobias Myers has not put up like impressive numbers by any means, but like that's good pitching depth, man. That's a good sixth, seventh, eighth starter once your rotation gets a little battered up by the middle of the year. That's a good guy that I trust throwing out there for a little bit to make a few spot starts. So yeah, I think both teams really won this trade, surprisingly. And I think like there's a high chance that Freddie Peralta ends up signing an extension in New York probably because he's not a Scott Boras guy and they might just end up getting a job done here.
Yeah, he had one of the highest win rates in the league last year, and that it's definitely year over year been a top 10 situation. I will say there's part of me that I never expected to keep Peralta, so I'll start there. But the second part here is like the Brewers' track record has been very notably, I think I can say elite. Like they chose not to overpay Corbin Burns, who then got Tommy John the year after that. Willie Adames, they didn't want to sign him. He goes and has, we called this too, one of his worst offensive performances in his career, in his year one in San Francisco. They also got rid of Devin Williams, and he's been, not been the same since. So there's something to that, I guess. And the fact that they were able to get the deal that they got was pretty insane. So I think what they're trying to do, they'll find a way to remain competitive somehow. But if you're going to look for something really exciting, you can look and say like Sprout, Williams, Mizorowski, Jackson Churio, Bryce Terang. That's a pretty good, 5-year window there.
Yeah. And for the Freddie P side, like I think this is one, like when he is healthy, he's one of the more talented starting pitchers. Like I was looking for this, and shout out to Peter Appel on Twitter for bringing the stat because I saw it yesterday. But Freddie Peralta is one of just 7 pitchers with 700 innings pitched and a 125 ERA plus since 2021. Among all 7 of those pitchers, it's Peralta, Skubal, Wheeler, Corbin Burns, Max Fried, Framber Valdez, and Logan Webb. Freddie P has the highest K rate of all of them too at 29.6%. So like Freddie Peralta is like a I don't know generational is the right word, but like he's a very good pitcher. He's a top like 20 pitcher in today's day and age. He's a clear ace, and it's really it's a really good guy to add to the rotation for sure.
Last 2 things on Freddie. For those who don't know, Mets GM front office guy was former Brewers, the guy that drafted Freddie.
Yep.
So that's that. He's also 4-0 against the Mets in his career, so that's something that they probably saw. And they were like, "Yep, I guess they can't let him beat us." Number 2, there's an account here that I just want to throw out. It's Ober Sports. It's a Wisconsin-based thing. It's not a huge handle or anything by that means, but they're making the case that Freddie is one of the greatest Brewers pitchers ever. I think that you can make a valid case, though it's not going to come with a Cy Young or a title or anything like that. But he does have the 3rd most strikeouts in Brewers history. He has the 5th best ERA as a starter in Brewers history. He went 70-42 and led the league in wins this year. And the WHIP is 1.132, which is the 3rd best in Milwaukee's history. So
wow.
Pitching numbers get better over time. Not shocked to see this. 162 starts, 2-time All-Star. So yeah, I mean the longevity is certainly there. I wonder if that's enough for the Mets. You think that they've done everything in their power?
Yeah, I think so. I would be shocked if there was another move, but who knows? I mean, they're clearly over a 5-day span. They got Bo Bichette, Luis Robert, and Freddie P. Like that's a pretty awesome 5-day span if you're a Mets fan.
They also added Luis Garcia and Tobias Myers.
Yes, very true.
More depth. I don't know what their infield's going to look like. It's kind of just, we'll see how it goes.
Yes, very true. Yeah, and then we saw this. We'll be off after this, but we saw this afternoon. Mackenzie Gore goes to the Rangers. That's really cool. That rotation is kind of really legit now. This is another thing I just saw. Where is it? Now I gotta find it again. But it was talking about what the Rangers could do with their potential rotation, and it looks lethal, man. Like it looks really, really good. So, where is this? Hold up. So the potential rotation is Jacob deGrom, Mackenzie Gore, Nathan Eovaldi, Jack Leiter, Kumar Rocker, and Jacob Lotz. Like, if Rocker and Leiter take that step towards being even just back end rotation pieces, that's a really exciting rotation. And if Gore can keep up what he started at the beginning of last year and not have that fizzle off in the summer, which maybe is helped by him being in the dome now in Texas, like, there's a lot of massive stuff there for that Rangers team. That's a good rotation if they stay healthy.
Yeah, playing in Washington the second half of the summer was just his downfall.
Yeah.
So maybe you could also say that Washington has seen enough, and they tried to get as much as they could out of that, which was a 5-for-1 deal. So I don't know. I still think that the Rangers are probably going to end up winning that, but because rarely do you see in a 5-to-1 like all 5 of those guys contributing. You just hoping that you're hitting one really strong play in that regard.
Yeah. And what instead of the NL East where he had to face off NL East standing, I just need to see teams. He had to play against the Braves, the Mets, and the Phillies. Now he gets to play against the Athletics, the Angels, and then obviously the Mariners and Astros, which is tough. But like 2 of those are bottom feeder teams that like he should be able to feast on. So I don't know. I think that's a really good move for the Rangers. And they did not give up all that much. Like I know the prospect haul looks kind of big when it says 5 prospects, but all of those guys are kind of iffy at best. I think that because Peralta got dealt, Mackenzie Gore was up next on getting traded, and this is what they were able to get, and I think it's good enough for them. But I think it's a good spot.
Per Sarah Langs, who's a must follow, and then I promise we're done. The most pitch types with a whiff rate of 35% or higher from last year, which means there's a minimum of 50 swings on each pitch. Mackenzie Gore, number 1 in the league at 4. Number 2, Jacob deGrom.
Wow.
3.
Yeah. Definitely some fun stuff in baseball. You'll start to see the trade market kind of freshen up now. Now that all the big free agents are gone, that's kind of what they have to wait for before they can start trading, is to see who goes where with free agency stuff. Now that's all figured out after Cody ended up signing, you'll start to see more trades end up happening, and should be a lot of fun to watch. All right. You got anything else, Jared? If not, let's get out of here, man.
No, let's get out of here. We have not gotten any NBA news since we stopped talking about NBA. Which means
go ahead.
We're gonna get you're gonna just have to go into the slate trying to avoid the injury bug. That's just what it is today.
I feel like MLB, we got really good luck with getting breaking news, which there's not a whole lot of breaking news with MLB lineups, but like we usually got to go over a few on the show. With NBA this season, we have not had good luck at all with covering injury news. We never get an injury report when we're on the show, so it is unfortunate, but it is what it is. All right, let's get out of here. Like Jared said at the beginning of the show, stay safe if you're in one of those volatile weather areas. Lots of cold stuff, lots of snow this weekend, so stay safe out there. This is the last time we'll be podcasting this week, but we will be back on Monday, so we will see y'all then. Thank you for listening.